Welcome to the Nerve to Lead podcast. Here we explore power, pleasure, leadership, identity, belonging, parenting, and couplehood, and explore stories of navigating through life, finding both authenticity and attachment through the common lens of the nervous system. I am your host, Sangheetha Parthasarathy, and I'm so glad you're here. This episode is going to be about me, what I do, and what brought me to the work. What I do is I offer therapy/coaching for high-achieving bodies who want to heal their nervous system and get over perfectionism and lead more authentic lives and discover who they really are. I do this by working on nervous system regulation and trauma healing and power wounds or very early attachment healing. I am a somatic experiencing practitioner and an early attachment practitioner. I used to be a birth doula, which is what brought me into early attachment and nervous system and neuroscience work. And all of my work is evidence-based, and we work with stored nervous system patterns and restore and help sequence the set of events. Therefore, your body can discharge and integrate stressful events, and we restore resilience, joy, and have a responsive nervous system instead of a reactive one. So that's what I do in essence. I grew up in India, and I went to BITS Pilani, which is one of the elite science and engineering institutions in India. I grew up in box standard middle class for India household where there was a lot of survival stress around economics. Therefore, there was a lot of prerogative on education and achievement as a way to survive, and that's what I did. And when you grow up in achievement-based, performance-based environments, then a lot of who you think you are and your self-worth is based on external factors, the house, the car, the kids in private school, all of that. And, did that for many number of years, went to the US, did my master's in computer science, and then worked for startups. Startups got sold, did various roles in customer success, sales, marketing, met my husband, moved to the UK, and we were both fitting that educated model minority stereotype to the T. He has a PhD in physics and manufacturing and works in finance. And we were very firmly on the track of, I'm smiling as I say this because many of our friends have the Tesla now, but we were firmly on the track of buying a house, buying a bigger house, buying the Tesla, putting both kids in private school journey. And then we wanted to have kids. And, as it does, I think kids have a way of getting you to where you need to be. And I found myself, a friend of mine had a home birth, and that blew my mind. And I started researching more. We started researching more, being the geeks that we are. And we had 2 planned home births, one of which we went to the hospital, and my younger one was born at home. And, I say this in a very dramatic fashion, but it may not have been as dramatic as that. But as soon as my little one was born, in my home, in my living room, in the water, and I was the first one to lift her out. And I think probably one of the first rational pieces of thought that I had, maybe 2-3 hours later, was if my body has done this, what else can it not do? And literally at that point, this whole idea of going back to work after maternity break and reporting to the person that I hired and all of that just did not make sense to me. And I felt like I should be doing something more with my life. We had hired a doula both times. It was the very first time I was actually witnessed by this nurturing feminine presence in my life whose body did not have truck tons of fear. I know it is crazy when I say that, because you're expecting, like, what do you mean by that? I mean, this being held in feminine nourishment in a very body to body way was very deeply transformative for me. It's like finally my nervous system landed and got it as something that I had probably longed for and searched in all of these years. And just this deep calling to me. I grew up in India. I have always been an angry feminist slash activist slash anti-patriarchy person. And birth just connected the dots. It's finally gave me a direction to fuel all of that in. And through that, I supported many families. And then that's when I understood nervous system and trauma. And then I became a trauma practitioner. My own personal journey has also been a story through my entrepreneurship. It has allowed my nervous system to renegotiate a lot of systemic trauma, early childhood stories of helplessness and powerlessness for me. And it has also allowed me to create a business that sits at the intersection of everything that I'm passionate about. And I also personally, I think I have been on that journey from, I say activism, like the word is what it is. It lands differently for different people. But, the desire for impact, the desire to use my voice and be vocal, providing social commentary, I think that was extremely rewarding. Organically, we grew to 25,000 followers on Instagram, where I would share stories of mine. I would share stories of other people, and just profound impact on others, but also personally for me, it was very healing for my own voice and for other voices to be heard. It felt very validating about some of that power dynamics that we've seen. So as my nervous system has progressed through these stages, I have now, what I do now is I work with leaders and high achievers, where I'm offering what sits at the intersection of therapy and coaching, where we work on all those three layers: the nervous system layer, the trauma healing layer, and most importantly, an ability to hold power and pleasure together, and not power as binary. It's either power over or powerless, to having enough power and letting that drive and redefine your life, which it's been hugely transformational for me. And that's what I bring. My audience, all of them tend to be a lot like me, I think. They have all of these, Ivy League degrees, and they work for all the world's most valuable companies, or they're entrepreneurs, or they're change makers, they're visionaries, they're creating massive social impact, or they're deep thinkers, thought leaders, speakers, authors, all of, and all of them are driven by a need to go much deeper. And so the average audience has, before they come to me, has spent or invested quite a bit in personal growth in terms of various different ways, coaching, mentoring, therapy, you name it, and are hungry for more, in the sense that there's some puzzle pieces that are missing, so that when they come to this work, this connects all of the dots and all of the searches that they've been on in their life. So if any of this resonates with you, then, welcome. If some of these resonate with you, also, I'd love for you to engage with curiosity. You might be pleasantly surprised about what you find. And if you don't identify with none of these labels, you will also be pleasantly surprised about how much this work resonates with you. We talk a lot about the paradox of the high achiever, where many people who are high achievers, we don't identify with that label. And we're going to talk more about that in future episodes. But Nerve to Lead, I created this podcast to bring to you stories of leadership beyond the conventional sense, perhaps, not just in economic terms or power terms, It's people who have renegotiated their relationship with ambition and success and have truly created something extraordinary in whatever field it is, including personal growth. So I hope you will find this podcast educational, informative, and inspiring. Welcome. Thank you for joining me today on Nerve to Lead podcast. The music you hear in this podcast was created by Soundcreed. You can find their link in the description. Thank you to Vaishnavi and Pavitra in Team Sangpart for producing and editing this podcast. Did this episode resonate with you? If it did, please share it with your friends, family, co-workers, or clients. We would also love to hear from you. Drop us a note on www.sangpart.com.